Hey, have you ever stopped to think about how one tiny word can just completely flip the meaning of a sentence? Well, today, we're diving into some of the most powerful words in the entire English language. Seriously, think of them as your secret weapon for communication.
Okay, so take a look at these two sentences. On the surface, they look almost the same, right? But that one little word, must, it changes everything. I study is just a simple fact, but I must study? Whoa, that's a whole different vibe, isn't it?
And that's exactly the difference right there. The first sentence is just you stating a fact. No big deal. But the second one? By adding must, you've suddenly turned it into this powerful, non-negotiable obligation. That's the kind of power we're going to unpack today.
So, what are these powerful little words called? Well, they're a key part of your communication toolkit. Let's get to know them.
All right, they're called modal verbs. The easiest way to think about them is as helper verbs. See, they can't really work on their own. They need to team up with a main verb. And when they do, they add all these extra layers of meaning, things like possibility, permission, or, that strong sense of necessity we just saw. And here's the main crew. These are the principal modal verbs. Think of these 10 words as the core tools in that toolkit we're talking about. Each one has a really specific job, and trust me, once you get the hang of them, you're going to instantly level up your communication game. Okay, first up, let's talk about how modals handle certainty and possibility. This is all about showing how sure or unsure you are about something. Let's zoom in on should versus must for a sec. It's a subtle difference, but it's a really important one. You use should when you're talking about an expectation, something that's probable or just normal. But must is way stronger. That's what you use when you've looked at the evidence and come to a logical conclusion you're pretty darn sure about. So, for example, if you say, the teacher should arrive in 10 minutes, what does that really mean? It means it's a reasonable expectation, right? Class is about to start, so they'll probably be on time. It's likely, but it's not a 100% guarantee. But now, check this out. The puppy must be hungry. See, that's not just an expectation anymore, it's a logical deduction. You have evidence it hasn't eaten since this morning, and that evidence leads you to a conclusion that feels, well, pretty much certain. Okay, so what about when you're not so certain? What if something is just possible? That's where could, may, and might come in. They all basically mean the same thing. Something is possible. The real difference here, and you can see it in the chart, is all about formality. May is definitely your most formal, buttoned-up option of the three. All right, moving on from certainty. Modals are also, they're absolutely essential for navigating social situations. Seriously, this is how we ask for things, give permission, or even tell someone to do something without coming across as a total jerk. Think of it like a politeness scale when you're asking for permission. Can I? That's your casual, everyday go-to with friends. Could I? Okay, that's a nice step up. A bit more polite. But may I? That's the top tier. It's the most formal and respectful way to ask. Perfect for when you're talking to your boss or in a really formal setting. Now, what if you're the one giving the orders? You have to tell someone to do something. There's a really important choice you have to make between must and have to. Must usually comes from you. It's about your personal authority or a strong belief. Have to, on the other hand, that usually points to an outside force, like a rule, a law, or your company's policy. So if you hear parents must ensure their children receive basic human rights, that must carries a lot of weight. It's not just a suggestion, it's a deep moral obligation. It's about a fundamental responsibility that comes from within. Now let's contrast that with this sentence. Students had to attend the career orientation yesterday. See the difference? The obligation here wasn't some deep personal feeling. Nope, it was an external rule from the school. They were forced to go, which makes have to, or in this case, it's past tense, had to, the perfect choice. And finally, let's talk about maybe the most common use, making polite requests. Asking someone else to do something for you. This is where modals like will, would, can, and could are basically your best friends. They're the key to getting what you need without sounding bossy. How many times have you heard, would you pass the drink, please? It's a total classic, right? Using would is just a super common and really polite way to ask for something. It takes what could be a command, pass the drink, and softens it into a nice, respectful question. And could you help me close the windows is another fantastic option.
It's just as polite, just as effective. And honestly, in a lot of these situations, you can use would and could pretty much interchangeably. They both get the job done politely. Okay, so we've looked at certainty, we've looked at possibility, politeness, requests. What's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, it's pretty simple, really. These little words, they're nothing short of a communication superpower. And getting a handle on modal verbs isn't just about passing a grammar test. No way. It's about fundamentally elevating how you communicate. It's how you add that pinpoint precision, that subtle nuance, and how you can just glide through social situations with a bit more grace, both when you're speaking and when you're writing.
So, there you have it. The toolkit is yours now. You get how these tiny words can make huge changes in meaning. The only question left is, how are you going to use your new superpower? Here's a challenge. Just for today, try to really listen for modals in your conversations. I bet you'll be amazed at what you start to notice.